and welcome to the Stuck on Self-Love podcast. My name is Tazeen Sheikh, and I'm a writer, self-love, and mental health advocate, and STUK Design's blog manager. Along with 5 other young women from around the world, I run a successful nonprofit for girls and a clothing brand. At STUK Designs, we believe in self-love first, because self-love is the dawn that marks the beginning of all the different kinds of loves, and because it undoubtedly sustains success. This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who persevere and excel in life while bathing in abundant self-love. So if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place, because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow, your mind grow, and keeps you lit. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in. Hey beautiful people, we at STUK Designs have begun our crowdfunding campaign with iFund Women supported by Caress. We are raising money for expanding our programs, manufacturing art kits, setting up our studio that will be a space to empower women and girls through art and self-love, and a lot of other work that we have planned. We would love your help in our mission to provide girls in underserved communities art education and help them recognize and utilize the power of self-love. Visit our website www.stukdesigns.org for a link to our campaign. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Lexie Kite. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I have an identical twin named Lindsay who lives in New York City. And we run Beauty Redefined, our nonprofit, together. But if you want to know about me personally, I have a baby who I'm obsessed with named Lane. We call her Laney. She's our pandemic baby. We've had her during a pandemic, basically. She's now 9 months old. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have another daughter named Logan. She's 4. And just like the coolest husband in the world named Trav. And I have been running Beauty Redefined with my sister Lindsay for like 11 years now, which just sounds wild because it feels like we just established this nonprofit yesterday, but it's been a long time.
It is. Congratulations on that time period. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So can you talk to us about your organization and the purpose of your organization?
Absolutely. Okay. So it's called Beauty Redefined. And we do a lot of work online. Basically, when Lindsay and I were doing our master's degrees, we decided to come up with kind of a visual presentation that could help girls and women with their body image that we would take around and do at live speaking events. It was basically like a PowerPoint, but it was a combination of all of our research in body image and our research in helping people recognize how media really impacts our lives, like in real ways. It really impacts how we feel about ourselves, our bodies, our worth in this world. And when we were doing this research, we realized that people needed to know this stuff, and we didn't want to just be the type of scholars that were publishing in like academic journals that only other professors were reading. We wanted to get the knowledge to So we started a blog many years ago and just threw some of our information, some of our papers up there for people to read. And it really took off. People were starving for this information about how they could see themselves as more. So Beauty Redefined began a long time ago on the internet, and since then, we have been traveling the country all over the United States. We haven't gotten out internationally yet, but we have done speaking events for hundreds of thousands of people, girls and women, boys and men, about how to see yourself as more than a body. And Beauty Redefined it's different than a lot of other organizations out there that are dedicated to body image and to especially to girls and women's self-confidence. Because what we found is that a lot of like really well-meaning people and organizations, when they're talking to girls about their self-confidence and their body image, they say things like, "You are so beautiful just the way you are. If you knew how beautiful you were, you would have the confidence to go out there and change the world." And that's a good message, but it's fleeting because it's telling you you're beautiful and that you need that beauty to feel confident. And we're here to tell you, you're more than beautiful. You are more than a pretty face. You are more than a body that people like to look at. You are more. So yeah, while beauty can be fun and creative expression, We're here to tell you, you contribute so much more to the world than just how you appear. So that message that that kind of spreads like wildfire, especially through body positivity on the internet, about like loving your body as it is, that's really good. But we want to expand that. We don't just want you to love your body. We want you to respect your body. Maybe you'll never get to a place where you're constantly like, this is good. I look good. I got there.
Of course.
You know, we want to get you.
Definitely.
So that's what we do at Beauty Redefined.
So what inspired you to start this journey? Like how did this all come into being?
I think that for anybody who's really passionate about a cause, for anybody that gets a PhD in a field and does 10 years of college, you have to have a really personal connection to the cause. And that is so different for me and Lindsay. We grew up always feeling pretty bad about our bodies. Lindsay and I both started dieting when we were 12. I've got a ton of journal entries where I write how much I weighed, how much I ate, how much I exercised, that I had plans to lose weight, to look good in my swimsuit because we were competitive swimmers, to look good for going back to school. It started so young for both of us. And that pressure came from a lot of sources, not just our own family, but our friends, the TV shows we watched, the magazines we read, that pressure that told us that the only way to be a successful, lovable, happy person was through thinness and beauty. That was everywhere. So I don't blame myself one bit. But when Lindsay and I got to college, our freshman year of college, we both sat in this class that was required for journalists, which is what our major was going to be. We both chose the same major. We were trying not to be such twins, but there was no way out. We were such twins. So we had to take this class about media literacy, the ability to like read and understand why media messages are created the way they are. Why do women always look pretty much the same? Like they're young, thin, but with curves in all the right places, big eyes, little chin, big lips, big lashes, big brows, you know, these very consistent results. When we started learning about the fact that that's on purpose because all of media is profit driven and that big companies make billions of dollars by making sure that girls and women believe there's only one way to look, to be successful, to be happy.
Absolutely.
When I learned that, like the very beginnings of that, my first day in that class, I got goosebumps and my heart pounded faster. And I like felt truth, you know, like what it feels like to feel truth. I felt it. I went home and talked to Lindsay about it. She felt the exact same way. We knew that, well, maybe from the outside, you wouldn't look at us and think that we had felt so defined by our bodies and so obsessed with how we looked. We did. I had spent so much time and effort and energy feeling ashamed of myself, of my body, of trying to fix my parts, of trying to make sure that other people thought I looked good. And it was in that classroom at age 18 that I realized, oh my gosh, this isn't natural. You know, this is something that is making a lot of people a lot of money, and maybe I could be a part of the solution. And Lindsay and I went on this 10-year of college journey to figure out how we could help people to overcome all of those ideas that are so objectifying. They treat you like an object. They cause you to treat yourself like an object. And that's where we are today.
The work that you guys are doing is so important. You guys are inspiring people, you're changing lives, and I think that is phenomenal. So thank you so much for what you guys do. So let's move on to your personal life. So are there any traumas or say any life experiences that have shaped your self-love journey?
Yeah, I mean, a ton. So the work we do is called body image resilience. And what body image resilience is, it's a big word, but everybody has experienced it in their lives. It's where you experience something hard in your life, especially related to your body, whether it's illness, abuse, bullying, gossip, just body shame that comes from people saying stuff about your body or not fitting into the clothes you want, or somebody making a comment on a photo of you or whatever. In those circumstances, we all face these kind of like painful disruptions to our relationship with our body. It causes us to feel like ashamed and distant from our body and bad about ourselves. But resilience gives us the opportunity to learn from the hard stuff, to grow from the hard stuff, because we can't get out of our very uncomfortable comfort zones in our body image without the bad stuff. So yeah, I've experienced a lot of hard things along my life's path that have all made me stronger and better, that have helped me find purpose. Like that body shame I told you about that I've experienced throughout my life, that body shame was the thing that opened my eyes to this truth, to this mission to share with the world. If I hadn't experienced a lifetime of feeling really uncomfortable and embarrassed of my body, I wouldn't have found like my calling, one of my callings in life, to help other people. My eyes were open to the fact that so many people in this world feel so defined by their bodies. They feel like their bodies are their everything. And it's not true. They are not. We are so much more than our bodies. But for me, that was everything from the shame I experienced when I was younger to, having a baby. That sure changes things. To being kind of a public figure who talks about bodies, and I have to like do media interviews and do speaking events and do that in a changing body. I've gained and lost weight trying to get off of the diet train. All of that has really impacted my life. But because of body image resilience, I've been able to use every one of those like painful circumstances as kind of a catalyst to push off, to use as a stepping stone, to be more, not to use as like a burden that I drag behind me. And that's what we help people do through body image resilience, to be more because of the hard stuff, not less. I'd say probably 10% of our audience of girls and women, especially young girls, come up to tell us that they are engaging in self-harm, that they cut themselves or hurt themselves because of the shame and pain they've experienced in their bodies. And we get it. And it is so painful to hear these stories from girls and women that we love, that we don't even know, that we've only just engaged with for a short time, but we love. And honestly, the thing that I have to do when I hear these painful stories is to just lead with love for them, compassion for them, that reminds me of my own pain I've experienced in my life. And I think when you lead with love for yourself and for them, it makes the burden just a little bit lighter. I know that I'm contributing good to the world through the work I'm doing. And so even though I hear so many painful things, it gives me hope at the end of the day. It gives me hope that these young women would come up and tell me about their pain, because that is progress. Saying it out loud is the first step. If it's just part of your normal life, you don't even see it. You just think, this is what my life is. When you can say it out loud and own up to it, oh my gosh, that is the first step to resilience, to claiming it and fighting it. You can't fight an enemy you can't even see. So
absolutely.
I like to reframe it as progress. Progress for those girls and for a world where so many of us need to be able to see our pain in order to combat it, to fight it, to become stronger.
Definitely. So since you spread so much knowledge and awareness and to-dos about body image and body positivity, do you at times feel that this responsibility to, say, follow your own advice is burdensome? Because, people are watching from you and learning from you constantly. So does your work ever create that sort of a pressure on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I might be like an expert in body image, but that doesn't mean that I am immune to any of the shame and pain that comes with living in a body, especially a female body in this world where there are so many pressures to conform. So yeah, absolutely, I feel that pressure. But what I try to do is be honest about it and be vulnerable about it. When we're speaking to people, we make sure to let them know that you don't hear our presentation or read our work online and suddenly you're just improved, that everything is better. No, it's a whole lifetime. This is a journey. So I practice self-compassion for myself to know that, yeah, it is hard to live in this body. It is hard to do this work as we face these disruptions to our body image. But you know what? Life is so much easier with body image resilience. And I've proved it over the last more than just 11 years, but so much longer that I've been doing this work. I've been able to prove that, yeah, I can go through hard stuff. I can go through painful things with my body image and painful things people say about my body. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm better than okay. I'm so much better than I would have been before doing this research, before doing this work. I'm proud of where I've been. And so yeah, there are times when that shame comes, or when I picture myself living instead of just living, I feel nervous about how other people are seeing me. But those feelings and thoughts, they come, but they float away as quickly as they came. And that's how you know that this is working for you. When you have those feelings, but they don't stay with you forever, you can watch them float away and come back into your body as your own, the only home you've ever had, a body to respect, no matter your ability level, no matter how you feel about it or what anybody else says about it. Your body is your home, and our bodies are instruments, not ornaments. And that's our famous mantra. And when you know that, your whole life opens up and changes. So I hope people can recognize that in themselves. Your body is an instrument, not an ornament.
Right. Thank you for being so, so real about this, because I really feel that people need to hear that, it's okay to sort of have these relapses, and it's okay to, get back from them, because it's not going to be smooth. Nobody is perfect, no matter how it turns out. So, let's now talk about your exciting announcement. You guys are all set to launch your first book, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. It's the biggest news. It's the biggest break we've ever gotten. I mean, we wrote like dissertations in college that were like hundreds of pages of academic work. This was much harder because we are anticipating that lots of people are going to read this and they're going to,
of course,
benefit from it. Our book is called More Than a Body. You can order now on Amazon, and it'll be up on our website soon.
That sounds lovely. All the best to you and Lindsay for your book. I hope that you write more books in the future. Let's move on to our second segment. As you know, that we're going to have an Instagram Q&A, and this week's topic was body image and body positivity, and we received a lot of responses. So are you ready to get into these questions?
Absolutely. I love a Q&A.
Okay, so first question is by Girl Collective. She says, how do you stay kind to yourself with regards to body image during this pandemic? We're home, we're gaining weight, and maybe still not eating as healthy as we used to, and also moving less. So sometimes I get a little down about this.
Such a good question. We did our first and only IGTV about this very question. Here's what I would tell you. Oh my gosh, you are alive. Your body is changing. Your body is growing. Your body is thriving. I know that it's hard to reframe your thinking like that, but you are here. You are breathing. Your body is your own. What if you looked at this period of time as recovery for your body in some ways? When we are out in the world every day, when we are busy, when we are seeing a lot of people and feeling a lot of anxiety about what we should be wearing and who's going to see us that day, and we dress for who's going to see us, and we eat for, being able to fit into that outfit or that swimsuit, that isn't exactly healthy for our bodies or our body image.
Absolutely not.
Our feelings toward our bodies. So what if you reframed your thinking as maybe your body is regaining some weight that you were fighting off of yourself because of shame and anxiety that wasn't actually healthy? What if you thought about this time as being more compassionate toward yourself? So if you are eating more, if you have gained weight, if your clothes don't fit like they used to, thank your body for fighting so hard for you to be alive. Be proud of yourself for being able to live through this very difficult time. This is not a normal time. And it's okay that your body has changed in this incredibly abnormal time. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look down at your body, the only one you've ever had. I want you to think about the fact that this same body is the one you had when you were a little girl, before you ever worried about your weight, before you ever worried about what anybody else saw when they thought of you. Think about your legs. Think about your belly. Think about your arms. Think about every part of you that you're self-conscious of that is growing. And think about the fact that this body has gotten you through every single minute of your life, every bit of happiness, every hard time. Your incredible body did that. Thank yourself. Honor yourself. And from this point on, consider this an opportunity to change the way you interact with and appreciate your incredible body. No matter your ability level, no matter what clothes you fit into or don't fit into, Your body is your own and no one else's. It's time for you to start privileging an insider's perspective of your incredible body, not an outsider's. Because what I hear in that question is, what are people going to think when they look at me? What are they going to think when they see that my clothes don't fit like they used to? That my body is bigger or flabbier, or my hair isn't the right color anymore, or my brows aren't done. You're thinking about what other people might be thinking when they look at you. I want you to rephrase that question as, how am I feeling? What can I do? Start prioritizing that insider perspective using our mantra, my body is an instrument, not an ornament. That will change everything for you. You're not an ornament. You're not here to decorate. You have so much more to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next question is by Pak So-hyun. She says, now this is a very interesting question. She says that we may get stretch marks because of sudden height and weight changes. Now studies show that they can also be hereditary. I have stretch marks, and when I was younger, I was ashamed of myself because people would comment on them whenever I wore short clothes. Stretched skin is a natural phenomenon, so why are we looking at it so negatively?
I love that question. You could ask the same question for cellulite, which the vast majority of people have. You could ask the same question for scars on our skin. You could ask the same question for hair, for our pores, for every inch of our skin. It has been co-opted by industries that want you to feel bad about yourself. I'm serious. Every single inch of your skin, every hair on your head has been bought basically by industries that want you to spend your money to fix yourself. You do not need fixed. But you know that things like cellulite and stretch marks were never even considered a flaw until a few years ago, until maybe 40 years ago, when people, the beauty industry, started realizing that they could make billions of dollars by convincing women, it's always women who are their target market, that your stretch marks are yucky and bad, that your cellulite is shameful, that if your skin is dark, it is too dark, that if your skin is light, it is too light, that you need to tan it or leave it, you need to wax it, you need to smooth it. Whatever the thing is, it is all made up. Every single one of these flaws were made up to prescribe a solution. So I want you to know that your stretch marks make you human. They make you normal. Even the most beautiful and ideal women in the world have stretch marks because it shows that your skin grew. It shows that you're living. Same with your pores and every other thing on your whole body. It shows you're alive. And when you think about the fact that you are ashamed of that part, realizing that there were conspiring people making sure you feel that way, it is not normal. It is not normal and natural for you to feel that way. Of course, it's normal, but I'm saying it's not just, you weren't born with those feelings. Somebody asked you to feel that way. So rebel against those industries. Rebel against every message that would cause you to feel terrible about yourself. And show the world reality. People are desperate to see your reality. So wear the shorts. Lift up your arms and show the stretch marks on your hips. Do whatever you need to do to show that you are human, that you are okay just the way you are, and that the world needs to see that reality, because so many of us are living hoping to see somebody else with the flaws we have, just to show that we're normal too.
So we have an anonymous submission. Now she talks about her experience. So she says that I was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism when I was 15. A year later, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian disorder. I gained about 20 kgs. My disorders made me want to constantly eat. I stopped wearing clothes I liked because they made me look fat. I cried when they didn't fit. People commented on my weight and asked me to control my appetite. I was anxious about meeting people. I realized then one day that I cannot let other people's opinion ruin my peace and happiness. I started working out, did yoga, ate healthy, and lost 7 kgs in 1 month. Stop looking for validation in the wrong places. It's all in you. And then another person sent me a similar experience. Now, she didn't mention her specific condition, but it was along these lines. So, when it comes to this, do you think that they should engage with this person who is projecting hate and educate them Or do you think it would rather be wise, or, it would rather be more peaceful for you if you just simply ignored and moved on?
Good question. I mean, it really depends on your relationship to the person. If that is a person who doesn't care about you, who doesn't actually love you, who you don't need to have in your life, disengage. I would cut off communication with anybody who objectifies you in that way, who tries to convince you that you are gross or bad or shameful. That is objectification. That is not love. I would say that if it's somebody that you care about, if it's your mom, a lot of our moms, right, grandmas, our parents, our aunts and uncles have grown up in this very objectifying world. They have been told their whole lives that their weight defines their worth, and that thinness at all costs is of utmost importance. We know this is not true. I even want to help that first commenter who said that she lost a bunch of weight in a month and is feeling better. I want you to know that for everybody listening, that weight loss isn't going to solve all your problems. From a bullying perspective or a perspective of people objectifying you, they will find something else to bully you about, or to gossip or objectify you about. I want you to know that losing weight quickly in a short period of time will always, almost always, I'm talking 99% of the time, result in weight gain plus even more weight. So you won't just restore the weight you lost, but you will gain more weight.
Right.
It's called weight cycling. It's a thing that is backed up by a ton of academic research. If you are dieting to lose weight, if you are working out extremely hard to lose weight that you have gained, and you lose it quickly, or however fast you lose it, it is more than likely that you will gain that weight back. I know that's hard to hear because we live in a world that tells us that weight loss is the key to our happiness. But I want you to know that you will probably gain that weight back. And I want you to know that's okay. I want you to know that many people in this world live with PCOS. Many people in this world live with thyroid conditions that cause them to gain weight. They take medications that cause them to gain weight. They are sick or ill or have injuries that cause them to not be able to move their bodies like they used to, or to gain weight. I want you to know that all of this is okay. There is a thing called body diversity that is good. It tells us that all bodies are different, that all bodies are not meant to be the same size, that all bodies are not meant to be thin, and that many of us live our lives in bigger bodies, and that's okay. We need to show up in our reality. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for health, but that tells us that weight and health are not the same thing. You cannot measure your health by how much you weigh. You cannot measure your health by your body mass index or what size you're wearing. Our health is measured by internal indicators of health, like our blood pressure, our blood sugar, by our cholesterol, by our heart rate, our resting heart rate. These are things that will determine your actual health. So I would encourage you, if you are focused on your weight, to throw away your scale. When you're at the doctor's office, ask not to be weighed, or if they insist on weighing you, ask to be turned around. I do that. I've been doing that my whole adult life. It has helped me tremendously to not worry about the weight, worry about what your body can do and how you feel.
That's actually a very good tip, because, as a part of your full body checkup, one of the most important things is your height and your weight. So, when a person is in that situation and then you have your parents watching or a friend that you've taken along, it sort of creates this pressure. And even, this comes to mind, we have these regular checkups in school as well. So from a very young age, kids are weighed and their heights are measured. And, from personal experience, I've seen kids, feel very, very disheartened when they come out of the nurse's office, like, oh, I just saw my weight today. And the kids are like, oh, my weight was this much. And, my height is like, I'm so tall, or, so that, I think that really needs to change, but, I don't think anybody's doing anything about it.
It does. We've done a ton of research on this. We've got a lot of it in our book, but weighing kids and assessing their BMI in school leads directly to eating disorders. We've seen this. And honestly, for adults, you do not need to be weighed at the doctor's office unless your weight there's something terrible going on and you've gained a ton of weight in a short period of time or lost a ton of weight.
Absolutely.
You can opt out of being weighed. I do it for all of my appointments, including appointments when you're pregnant. You can opt out of all of that because your internal indicators of health will tell you a lot more about your actual health than your weight will.
That's actually a really good tip. So next is an anonymous question. It's along the same lines. So she says that I'm not confident about my body because I'm overweight. Society isn't really accepting of people on the heavier side. Their ideal body size is around 34, 20, 36, 24, 36, as referring to inches of, a slim hourglass figure. So how do you not let society's pressure get to you?
Good question. You're not alone in feeling that pressure. So please know and have compassion for yourself that you are not wrong or bad for feeling the way you do about your body. There is billions of dollars in this world invested in making sure you feel that way. But when you tell me these measurements that I hear in hip hop songs, I know that you have internalized an outsider's perspective of what your body should look like, specifically a man's perspective of what your body should look like. Those are measurements that are dictated to us from a male perspective who does not care about you as a person in any way. Those numbers to me represent objectification because what they're telling me is you want huge breasts, a tiny waist, and a big butt. This is dictated to us by media that tells us this is the best way to be. And guess what? It is not natural. It is impossible to get those measurements most of the time. I would argue the vast majority of the time without spending a ton of money on surgery that will harm your health. Kanye West's own mom died of butt implants. And yet the Kardashian, she died from getting butt implants. But the Kardashians promote these very unreal measurements and ideals. And it's not just the Kardashians. I understand that they are victims of this oppressive, objectifying culture too. But what we see from a lot of these celebrities and influencers are completely abnormal, unnatural ideals you cannot attain without threatening your health and your very life. I'm serious. Most people you see in media that have measurements that look like this are absolutely editing their photos. They're editing their photos and they are getting these surgeries that I promise you will threaten your life. So I want you to know that the best thing you can do for your own well-being, for your confidence, is to work desperately and follow us online and follow people that we follow online to help you do this. But you have to do the inside work of changing how you feel about yourself in your mind. It cannot happen from the outside. Body image is an inside job. There is no amount of fixing you can do to your body that will make you feel good about yourself. I promise you. You will not attain those measurements and feel good about yourself. I guarantee you this is true. You are more than a body.
Absolutely. I mean, and nowadays you have a lot of tools. Like you said, you have surgery and then you have Photoshop, and a lot of, I suppose you can say, ancient tools like corsets are making a huge comeback, because you go around social media and you see these bunch of women, like really big influencers, and they're wearing corsets and they're showing them off, and then you scroll to the comments and they're like, I wish I had a waist like yours, or, I don't think I can ever fit into a corset like that. And it makes me think that, back in the day, women developed all these spine issues and they had trouble breathing and there's suffocation. So why do people still engage in this now? Like, you don't have an excuse anymore because you have education, you have the internet that teaches you about the biology of your body.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we could say, okay, not the knowledge. They didn't have internet. They didn't have the access to, any sort of knowledge. But why do you think people are engaged like this?
Money. It all comes down to money. Every single one of these influencers make thousands of dollars every time they post about this crap that they themselves don't even use. Any of the skinny tees, the waist shapers,
Absolutely.
them in photos using them, they don't actually use them. Every single one of these influencers have a team of people. They spend millions of dollars per year paying to make sure they're eating the right foods. They are working out many hours per day. They're getting all the work done they need to do. They have stylists. And then they also edit their photos consistently. No influencer doesn't edit their photos. If we had media literacy in our public school curriculum, in what we see in social media, I think people would have the actual knowledge they need to fight back against these ideals. But when we don't really understand how much money is invested in making sure we believe these ideals are normal and natural, then of course we're going to fall for these things. When we believe, because we hear it consistently, that girls and women are most valuable for their bodies, why would we think anything else? Why would we believe that we are more than bodies? That's what we're working so hard to do at Beauty Redefined, is make sure people can find their value in all of the things they can do, in all of the things they are, because we believe that girls and women can freaking change the world. We believe girls and women have so much work to do. And if we are stuck thinking about how we look and judging ourselves by our worst fears about what other people think we look like, we're never going to win. We're always going to be stuck objectifying ourselves. And we want so much more for girls and women and boys and men of this world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next, we have a submission by Zenith. She's talking about her experience here. She says, I was the biggest girl in my class in school and was constantly bullied for my size. I lost all my confidence and craved to fit into the ideal body type. In university, however, I realized that my problems were not equal to my body. I derived inspiration from curvy models and even started my own Instagram page called Art and Body Positivity, where I promote love for all body types through art. So what came to my mind when I was reading this particular question is that there is a lack of portrayal of curvy women or big women in the media as beautiful. For example, in case of movies and dramas, which is such an important source of learning and inspiration, you usually see a curvier character as the side friend, or, perhaps a comedic, used for a comedic purpose, or, becomes beautiful only once she loses weight. So this really impacts not just how curvy women view themselves, but also how others view these women. So what do you think needs to be done in order to rectify this absurd perception?
Oh my gosh, so much. Okay, so if you spend most of your time like on social media, you can find a whole world of curvier women. You can. Like, body positivity has blasted body diversity into the mainstream, which is amazing. But one thing we see very consistently in mainstream media, like you said, in the TV and movies we watch, in magazines and billboards, everything else, is that bigger women, fat women, curvier women are the sidekick. They're the butt of the jokes, but they are never portrayed as more than a body. Like, what you see is that they are defined by their size. You almost never see a curvier or fat woman who is just herself. The plot line always revolves around her body. And we have got to get to a point where we aren't just like putting in token fat women to show that like we value a range of sizes, but we need to have these women portrayed as just like everybody else, where their body is not a part of the equation. You see this for men. We see men of all different sizes and shapes and colors, of all different ranges of attractiveness, that are just there. They are not defined by their body in any way.
Exactly.
And yet women are not afforded the same humanity. We are objectified so consistently. So what we want to see, what we push for in body diversity and in diversity of characters in mainstream media, is to get to a place where we aren't just seeing curvy women as, even when we're just seeing them as sexy, or, oh, she is a love interest, look, somebody loves her, or whatever, when we're not talking about their bodies at all. And I want to see the same thing for body positivity on social media. I want to get to a place where we don't just have fat women and curvier women that are pointing out their own flaws to say that they're beautiful. I want to get to a place where fat women can just exist on the internet, not having to prove that they're confident, not having to prove that they're beautiful, not even having to talk about their bodies at all, just being, because we afford that humanity to men. We do not afford that to women.
Absolutely. Now, last we have an anonymous submission. She says, I have a scar on my stomach due to a surgery I had as a kid. It always horrified me and made me feel insecure until I realized that it is a proof that God decided to save my life. I'm now proud to have it. Keep a smile on your face and flaunt your flaws. So a lot of the girls here have spoken about their journey to acceptance and to realization and, how hard it has been. So why do you think that it is so difficult to just reach this point of realization? Why do you think it is so hard to simply accept yourself?
I think that these girls are illustrating exactly what body image resilience is. It is true that, and it showed up in our research. I didn't even say this earlier, but in all of our dissertation research, what we found is like the majority of the women that we were studying felt badly about their bodies. They described themselves in terms of how they thought other people looked at them. But there was this small percentage, like 10%, 11% of the women in our study that felt pretty good about themselves, that were resilient in the face of all of these hard ideals, all of these hard things they've been through. And when we dug deeper into these women, we realized why. It was because they had experienced really difficult things in their bodies, like eating disorders or living with someone with an eating disorder, like an illness that left them on the sidelines of their life for a while, like abuse and assault. And they had used those things as a stepping stone to learn more, to be more, to have a more powerful voice in the world, to be more compassionate, instead of using those things as like a stumbling block, as like a burden that weighed them down so that they couldn't see themselves as more. And that's what these girls, these women that are writing in are describing. They're describing body image resilience. They used the hard things in their lives to become more, to find their humanity, to find their purpose. That is amazing. To answer your question, I think that we can't really get out of our really uncomfortable comfort zones in our bodies without going through the hard stuff. The good news is we're all going to go through the hard stuff. And it's how we react. That is body image resilience. You can react by sinking deeper into body shame, through self-harm, through disordered eating, through unhealthy relationships with people who only value you for your body, through just hiding from body shame, hiding from people you know and love because you don't want them to see you. Or you can choose to rise with resilience, to see that you are more human and more powerful because of those things that have been deemed flaws, that aren't actually flaws at all. You can choose to rebel and rise and be a powerful voice of reality in this world. I see that in these questions of these amazing girls, and I see that in every one of us. Every one of us have the opportunity to see our pain and use it as our platform. Use it to make our voices louder. Use it to be more, not less of who the world needs us to be.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I really hope that, everyone who sees it, girls, women, men, boys, anyone, I really hope that they can have the courage to heal and, get inspired. So this concludes our episode for today. And to all of those who sent us your questions, thank you so, so much for taking a part in our episode for today. And Lexie, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you and Lindsay all the best for all your future endeavors. You guys are so, so inspiring. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. We were so happy to do it. You guys are great.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. You can visit our website, www.stukdesigns.org, to shop our merch, make donations, join our blogging team, or be a part of our affiliate program. See you in our next episode. Love and light from us to you.